Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the RacingBet Preview. Looking ahead to racing on Saturday, the 12th of March from Rosehill and Flemington. 3 Group 1s to get through on this week's preview. We've got the Coolmore Classic at Rosehill, as well as the Australian Cup and the Newmarket Handicap at Flemington. I'm your host, Tim Geers, joined by Billy Bestford, who made his debut last week, but his reappearance last week, and he's joined us again this time around. And something different this week, Billy. We're joined by Moneyball for the first time, who have jumped on and supported our sites. We thank them, and do make sure if you're having a bet this weekend, you jump on the Moneyball site at moneyball.com.au and have a look around and, support our partners and help support us. Billy, good week of racing ahead.
It is, yep. Looking forward to our Super Saturday at Flemington. It's always one of the better meetings of the year. So a couple Group 1s there, as you mentioned. So done a fair bit of form. I think we can back a few winners, and so we may as well get into it.
Yeah, we may as well. How do you expect that track to play at Flemington on the weekend? It's pretty standard stuff in Sydney once again this week with, I think it's currently a heavy 9 and probably no sign of improvement.
Yeah, that's... we had a bit of sun here in Sydney the last couple of days, so that's good. That's been a nice change.
Change.
Yeah, it'll obviously still be a heavy track there. I think Flemington will play all right. It's going to be pretty standard conditions out there. It's generally pretty fair, so I think every horse should get its chance on Saturday.
Some bloody good horses going around too. Good for the rail out 5 metres entire circuit at Flemington. We'll take you through our best bets. We've got a couple of best value bets to share with you as well, and a preview of all 3 of the features. Why don't we start off with our best? I'll kick things off this week, Billy, in Sydney at Rosehill. This horse, I think, will be very popular with punters this week. I've made him my best in race number 3, horse number 3, Magic, for Team Hawkes and Willie Pike. This horse was just, he was absolutely super on debut. You can see him here locked away in the same colours as Marsh Crusader and co. back on the rail. This is about the 300-metre mark and he's about last. You can see the amount of ground he's got to make up. This race, of course, was the Silver Slipper behind Best of Bordeaux, which is the horse out in front. You can see him slicing through really late here and just finishing off really strongly over the 1,100 metres, which indicates that the step up to 1,200 metres of the Pago here is really going to suit this horse. Team Hawkes seem to have their big guns firing at the moment, so he seemed to handle the soft 6 well on that occasion. I think he'll be able to handle the wet track given he's by Snitzel. And he showed, no signs of spinning wheels there on debut. So hopefully that step up in distance does the trick this time around, tipping us to get off to a pretty good start early on in the program. Race 3, number 3 at Rosehill. Magic currently around $2.30 with Moneyball. Over to Flemington. Speaking of the Hawks' big guns, this is, I don't know if he's one of the big guns, but this is a horse with plenty of talent from the same stable. Your best is coming up in race number 3, horse number 2, Remark. He's currently $4.33 with Moneyball. He is double accepted in both Flemington, in both Sydney and Melbourne. So let's hope he goes to Melbourne.
Yeah, obviously, I'm pretty keen on him in Melbourne. He's my best bet. So I'm hoping they're trying to dodge the wet track down in Sydney because I think he's probably a better dry tracker. He had a few issues last prep. So he had a few breathing issues and they've had a tie-back surgery on him now. So I think all systems are go now. His trials have been really good. I've really been impressed by those. So I think he's ready to fire fresh. First up, last prep, he probably arguably should have beaten Paul Ellie. That form's obviously stacked up since. You can probably see here, cluttered up, gets out late, gets moving here, charges, and I really liked his sort of last bit of work there over the final 50. So he's clearly got a bit of talent. I think they've always had an opinion of him, the Hawks. And then he'd also tested Animo, I think, in the run to the Rose. He had a little freshen up, then tackled that. Finished less than 2 lengths off Animo there. And then he flopped in, obviously, the Golden Rose with a few issues breathing. So the trials have been nice. I like him first up. I think the big Flemington track's going to suit him, and I think we might see a much better Remark this prep.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you bang on that they've always had an opinion of him. So if that tie-back surgery has done the trick, and like you said, he's trialled enormous up in Sydney on 2 occasions, He would be very hard to beat wherever he lined up, whether it be Sydney or Melbourne this preparation. All right, something for the punters at a bit better odds. I'm going to start with you for your best value this week because mine's going to come up in the Coolmore Classic. So I'll save the Group 1. So I'll hand over to you again. Your best value comes up in race number 8 on the card. Same stable, I think. Horse number 4, Rock, $22 with Moneyball.
Yep, that's correct. So Rock's going to be my best value in Melbourne. I think his second up is his go. You only have to look at his record for that. He's going to get onto a dry track. Much bigger track is all going to be key for him. I like him getting up to 1,400. I think there's going to be plenty of speed on in this race. So he's drawn wide. He obviously gets back and he has that big turn of foot over the top. So I think the race pattern's going to set up for him. And I just think I've seen worse sort of 20-1 shots.
Fair enough. I've had a lot of success with that horse in the past. He's one of my favourites. Although I don't think he's won for a while.
That's got to be. That's obviously a slight knock. I don't know if he's probably going as good as he has been, but yeah, he's one of my faves as well. So I'm going to stick with him probably once more here, and hopefully we get a result.
Yeah, and if it's not, I mean, look at his form at the end of last preparation. He's beaten less than a length by Think It Over, who's I've lost count of how many Group 1s Think It Over's won now, but. You know, at that stage, he was probably in career best form or is returning career best form this time around. So he's definitely a horse that can mix his form. But, geez, when he's at his best, like beating less than 2.5 lengths in an Epsom, you'd think he'd be giving this a fair crack. So, yeah, definitely at $22, I can see your point of view there. It's a little side note, interesting to see the mare from over here in WA, Kiss on All Four Cheeks, make her debut in the East. She was meant to be going to Sydney, but the tracks are just too wet for her. And I know Danny Morton struggled for weeks and weeks now trying to get a flight over East. So he eventually got her over there, decided to go to Melbourne instead of Sydney to dodge those wet tracks. Really interested to see how she goes. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since she raced, but she doesn't lack any talent. So, yeah, fascinating race on several angles. All right, my best value bet of the day is going to come up in the Group 1 Coolmore Classic at Rosehill. This is race number 8 on the card. This is typically, when I look through the history of this race, it's quite unique in that I think the last 5 winners of this race, I wrote it down here somewhere. The last 5 winners of this race have paid $13, $21, $21, and $26. And every single one of them has come out of either the Guy Walter Stakes or the Millie Fox Stakes. So that gives you a pretty good lean as to, the form references or the lead-in races that seem to work in the Coolmore. But if you actually look through this year's field, there's a really different dynamic in terms of we've got Hinged coming off obviously a Group 1 victory in the Surround Stakes as a 3-year-old filly. We've got Espiona down the bottom. Of course, she's a $4 chance. She's the favourite for the race, coming off defeat in that same Surround Stakes. So we have a couple of 3-year-olds, even Capistel down the bottom. I know she's 150 to 1, but you have to go back to Typhoon Tracy to find the last 3-year-old winner of this race. And if you look at the weights carried by the winners in this race, like I said, you have to go back to 2009 to Typhoon Tracy carrying 51 kilos for the last 3-year-old with that sort of weight to win the race. So since then, it's typically been a race for the older mares, like I said, coming through either the Guy Walter or the Millie Fox. And normally they pay a pretty handsome price. So I found that a fairly interesting stat for this race, but the way I've gone is I'm actually sticking with horse number 6, Expat, who's a $6.50 chance. This was her last start winning the Millie Fox. I've just made references to this race being, one of the main lead-up races to the Coolmore and a form reference that typically stacks up. So this was her getting the job done over Bellucci Babe. It stood up. Bellucci Babe came out and won easily last weekend. And this was her holding her off in second. She's got a terrific record in the wet tracks. She's had 5 starts on heavy ground for 4 wins. She gets in with 54 kilos. She'll roll forward and give us a really good side at $6.50. I think that's a really backable price, especially, for a mare who's had 13 starts and 8 wins. She doesn't do a whole lot wrong. So happy to stick with her. I thought the blowout chance and one that you definitely had to have something on was horse number 2, Polly Gray, at 30 to 1 with Moneyball. She was really good, I thought, first up in the Group 3 Aspiration Quality. She carried 61 kilos there with James McDonald, and the rest of the field carried 54 kilos or less. The race was taken out by Lalude, who carried 53. She comes here on the 1 week backup, second up from a spell. She absolutely swims in the wet, and dropping from 61 to 56.5. She's going to be much better placed here. All you have to do is look at her overall record. She's had 13 starts on good tracks for no wins, and she's had 24 starts in the wet for 10 wins and 7 placings. So she swims. She won second up last preparation on a heavy 10. And I just think, she can be not necessarily the big improver, but I think she's underrated by the market currently at $31. So that's the way I've seen the Coolmore Classic. I'm going to be taking on those 3-year-olds, the likes of Hinged and Espiona. Big kind of boom on them, but I think they're short enough in the market. So happy to play around them and try and sniff out some value. Any thoughts on the Coolmore, Billy, before I pass over to you at Flemington for your 2 Group 1s?
Yeah, well, you'll be happy to know I also liked Expat. I think she's such a sort of bulletproof horse. You know what you're going to get from her now. Goes straight to the front, gives a strong kick in the lead, and like you said, that form stood up. The other horse I saw I'm probably going to back is Lighthouse. So she's obviously flying. She's gone huge again last week. She's on the quick backup here. Back to her own sex, I think is probably going to suit. And I think if she can run 1,500, she's going to be right in it.
She just I think we said the same thing last week. She just continues to turn up and run well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
16 starts, 7 wins, and 6 minor placings. She doesn't do a whole lot wrong. And, it's it's a different angle to this race because she comes out of the Canterbury Stakes at Group 1 level, obviously on the quick backup. So just another different form reference to consider. But fascinating race. But, sounds like we're both keen on Expat. Billy also respecting Lighthouse, and me, Polly Gray, as the blowout. Okay, let's get over to Flemington. 2 Group 1s on the card. We've got the Newmarket and the Australian Cup. We'll start with the Newmarket Handicap. Billy, take us through your thoughts here.
Yep, so I'm pretty keen on Lost and Running here. So it's obviously a cracker of a race. Got some of the best sprinters in the country here. With Lost and Running, he's thrashed over past Fresh, carried the big weight there. He's just a sort of a genuine winner. He's stacking up the wins now. That Everest run, I think, sort of proved that he can match it with the top line sort of sprinters. I wasn't sure if he was that good leading into that Everest run. He's obviously gone well there. Looks to have come back enormous, that first up win. I think you know what you're going to get from him. Goes well second up. I think he's had 2 wins from 3 starts. And I think he'll run very well. The others I was looking at, I don't know, people might sort of not like this horse. He's pretty maligned, but Artorias can run a race. He's obviously good enough. I think he's got a ridiculous amount of talent. His racing pattern just hurts him. But I'm thinking he could be a bit closer here. And I think that could be a key. And obviously he's thrown in here at the weights. He's carrying absolutely nothing. So he's not going to really know himself down there. And his Coolmore run here last prep was very good behind Home Affairs. Fresh run was good, reeling off some late sectionals as per usual. So I think he can run well. Home Affairs obviously has got to go in. He's probably one of the best sprinters now in the country. He's proved that. He's probably not suited over 1,000. He still beat Nature Strip there, who was unlucky. Yes to 1,200 metres. Yes to the straight. Coolmore win was ridiculous. He's obviously got to go right in it. And my other roughie I probably wanted to throw in there. I mean, you can't have them all, but Swats That was an enormous run first up. He's suited back now to handicaps. That was a big run in the weight for age. The Lightning, 1,200 metres, obviously he's much better over that. And I think with some luck, can run into the placings. And then obviously I've missed Masked Crusader and a few others, but you can't have them all in there. It's a cracker of a race. So they're probably my thoughts. What do you think?
No firm opinion. I hate straight racing at the best of times. Artorias with a 5 kilo weight swing on Home Affairs from that Coolmore run. Definitely going to make things interesting. Drawn low, barrier 2 for a get back horse. If they come to the rail, God, he's going to need some luck. I don't know. I know Sam Friedman came out today and said a lot of people think he's a miler, but he just needs the speed on. You'd think a big field down the straight, they'd go, relatively quickly, but half these races down the straight, sometimes they jog up to the 400 and make it a sprint home, and those horses just can't get into it. But yeah, it's a really fascinating race. Like Mars Crusader, if he got back to his best, would give this a crack. I know he's got top weight. Home Affairs has to, break a weight carrying record, carrying 56 as a 3-year-old after that first up Lightning win. Lost and Running, take your point. He was just dominant first up with a big weight too. So he drops in weight 5 kilos and, like you said, has a good second up record. So there's plenty of different angles. One horse I wouldn't be surprised to see run well at big odds would be horse number 12, September Run. Another one of these maligned sort of horses. Showed plenty early. Hasn't won in over a year now, but Jamie Carr goes on with 52.5 first up for Chris Waller. And we know she's done some damage down the straight in the past. So, yeah, I've got no real firm opinion, to be honest. But, geez, it's a cracking race. It really is.
It's going to be a good race to watch either way. So, looking forward to it. And
I just feel like there's going to be a hard luck story in there somewhere. There normally is with straight racing. So, yes, it sets up to be a cracker. That's the first on the program that we've had a look at. Now, the second Group 1 on the program is the Australian Cup, which comes up straight after it in race number 7. Group 1 weight for age, 2,000 metres.
Yep.
I think you're pretty keen on Spanish Mission here, second up.
Yep, second up to 2,000 is all probably pretty key here. He's gone huge first up over, you can see here, a mile, which is obviously well short of his best. So you look at his form, I think we've probably covered it. I mean, many people have had a look, but his worldwide form is probably one of the best in the country with some elite stayers around him. And he's obviously hit the line hard here. As soon as he ran there, I wasn't sure how to go, but I was pretty keen to back him next start. 2,000 meters is the big key for me. Draws pretty well for J-Mac. He's obviously going to hopefully get him in a nice trailing position, and I think he can run really well. Think it over. He's just super genuine. So I think he's won like 5 in a row now on dry tracks. He obviously came undone last start, heavy down in Sydney, but he's still run well. 2,000 meters he loves, and I think the only knock for me was how he's going to handle Flemington. So that's obviously something he's going to have to look at. But yeah, I mean, you can't knock him. Then the one at value I didn't mind, probably going to throw in there as a each way bet, was She's Ideal. So she's run some big late splits first up over 1,200 meters, which is obviously well short of her best. 1,400 meters. She obviously finished a fair while off them, but did run the fastest last 200. Then second up, she's run over the mile and almost knocked off Very Elegant at cricket score odds. So, and I think anything that Bjorn Baker's got in his stable at the moment is proper airborne. So third up now, rated prime, 2,000 meters. I think she can run well.
1 third up last preparation, 3 from 5 overall when third up.
Yep.
It does look a good platform for her, definitely.
Your thoughts?
I was keen Spanish Mission early. I think they went up. You might correct me here, but he was like, maybe he was in all-in market during the week. He was like $6 or something.
So he was $9 like last week, I think, and then Monday $6. So
is that when the owner came out and said he'll run top 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about when I took notice.
And now 450 is probably closer to the right price.
Yeah, just drifting out of touch. What do they do from that gate, barrier 10?
I think
just try and slot in somewhere.
I think he's going to probably J-Mac being J-Mac. I think he's going to be positive out of the gates. obviously you got She's Ideal, Duace inside of it, probably going to go back. Hopefully he can slot in somewhere in midfield. I think that's probably the key.
Yeah, if you like She's Ideal out of that Chipping Norton, you probably have to like Duace too. She's come back super this preparation. Like first up in that Apollo, she ran home from the back of the field. The race wasn't set up necessarily for the back markers, but she got home really well. Obviously, last start in the Chipping Norton, she had a little bit of trouble in the straight, finding clear running from about the 4 to the 200, but finished off nicely to be beaten basically a length and a half, getting out in the final 100. She's returned super. Whether she can, match it at 2,000 metres against these horses is the issue, but 2 of her career wins have come over this distance. She obviously relishes the good tracks. She's a smoky. I wouldn't say a smoky because the market's got her about right. She's an $8 chance. So there's definitely respect there for her. Gun to my head, I'd be going Spanish Mission. Think it over, like you said, has to handle Flemington and the Melbourne way of going. That's probably the query with him.
Yeah, with Duace, I probably thought she was short enough. If anything, I'd have She's Ideal a bit shorter than her, if I was looking at it that way. But yeah, I can't sort of argue with anything you said.
Yeah. Now, for me, Spanish Mission, I agree with you. Spanish Mission and She's Ideal would be the 2 that I'd be backing in the Australian Cup. I think we're on the same page. Beautiful. Well, that'll do us for our bets for this week. A reminder that if you are keen for more bets, some extra selections, you can jump into our premium Discord group. You can head to RacingBet.com.au, head to the premium tips page. You can find all the information there. We had another winner at Pinjarra today. We're managing to put out quite a number through the week that don't go on the site. So if you are keen to have a little bit of an extra punt and you want some extra selections that don't always go on the website, or you're keen to get our thoughts at any point throughout the day, make sure you give us a try. There's a number of options there where you can sign up for a free trial and dip your toe in and see if you like it. Very cost effective. And like I said, you can find all the details on RacingBet.com.au. Thanks to Moneyball for their support of this week's show. Billy, look forward to doing it with you all again next week, and good luck on the weekend.
Yep, you too, Tim.